The stars outside the galactic station flickered like cold, distant eyes. The station, called Lenorith Prime, floated between trade routes and served as a place where species from across the galaxy met, talked, and made deals. It was grand and shining, but not every corner of it held joy. In one quiet chamber, near the edge of the upper ring, a young alien woman stood alone. Her name was Narai. She was a princess once. Not just by name, but truly a leader of her people, the Alari. They had ruled an empire filled with art, peace, and wisdom. Her kind were known for their psychic abilities, glowing skin, and long memories. Their songs could calm storms. Their minds could touch across space. But now, that was all in the past. The Alari Empire had fallen. It was not war that ended them, but silence. Silence from old allies. Silence when others took their land. Silence when their voice at the council was removed. Their planets were now ruled by others, and the royal family lost power. Only Narai was left to carry her name, and even that felt like a heavy stone. Narai came to Lenorith Prime hoping for help. She walked into every hall, greeted every leader, and asked one question: "Will you stand beside me?" But they all said, "No." Some were kind but firm. "You're strong, but we have our own wars," they said. Others were cruel. "What can you offer us, fallen Alari?" And some just laughed. She even offered marriage. In her culture, a marriage was not just between two people. It was a bond between peoples, a way to rebuild. If she found someone strong, noble, respected, maybe her name would carry meaning again. Maybe her people, scattered and quiet, would have hope. But no one wanted her. They saw her as weak. They saw her people as history. Her presence became a joke, whispered across the council floors. "The princess who begs," they said. "The royal ghost." So she stopped trying. She stopped speaking. She stayed inside her room, her white robes untouched, her golden eyes dim. On the lower side of the station, another person arrived. His name was Ben. He was human. Not a soldier, not a spy, not a leader. He was just an engineer Ben worked on repair teams. He fixed lights, checked oxygen filters, and helped adjust ship docks. Humans had joined the galaxy late compared to others, but they moved fast. Many species still saw them as unpredictable, loud, and stubborn. But they also noticed one thing: humans never gave up. Ben liked quiet things. He liked music from old Earth. He liked to build things that stayed working. He did his job and didn't bother others. Most aliens ignored him. Some teased him. He didn't mind. One day, as he walked past a broken comms panel, he heard a soft sound, someone crying. It was a small alien child, confused, holding a cracked translator device. Ben crouched, smiled, and spoke slowly. "You need help?" The child nodded. Ben sat beside him, opened the device, and fixed it in 5 minutes. He gave it back and ruffled the boy's hair gently. The child ran off smiling. From a few meters away, Narai watched. She hadn't meant to be there. She just liked walking through the gardens when no one else was around. But when she saw that human kneel and help the child without hesitation, something in her heart shifted slightly. No one had helped her in weeks. Yet here was someone helping without being asked. Nara turned before Ben saw her and walked away that night. She stood near the glass window of her chamber and watched the stars. Her fingers touched the necklace around her neck, a symbol of her people. She remembered her mother's words: "When no one listens, find the one who does." Even a single voice can light the dark. Below, Ben sat in his bunk, staring at the ceiling. He thought about the tall alien woman he saw near the garden path. He'd only caught a glimpse. Something about her posture, so proud, yet so alone, stuck with him. The next few days passed quietly. Narai did not return to the council. Ben kept doing repairs. But slowly their paths began to cross. Once near the food hall, once in the old library, once by the glowing fountain in the center ring. Each time, just a glance. No words. Then one day, the council released a report. Princess Narai of the Ilari has been officially denied alliance by all 12 major factions. The news spread fast. Some aliens laughed openly. She's done, one said. A fallen flower. Others said, sad, but what does she expect? No one defended her. Ben was in the middle of tightening a panel when he heard the news. Inside him, twisted. He didn't know her, not truly. But he had seen the weight in her eyes. Now he knew the whole station was turning away from her. He didn't say anything that day. But he started walking the upper ring more often, nearer. The garden paths, hoping to see her again. Narai noticed. She noticed that when others looked away, he looked toward her. When others laughed, he stayed silent. And when she was near, he didn't walk away. One evening, as the sky outside the glass turned dark blue, Narai stepped into the quiet garden. She saw him sitting on a bench, holding a toolkit. She walked slowly toward him. Ben looked up. She sat beside him. For a moment they didn't speak. Then Narai said softly, "You helped that child?" Ben nodded. He needed help. She looked at the stars. "Have you ever helped someone? No one else. Wanted?" Ben turned to her and replied, "Maybe I'm looking at someone right now." Narai didn't smile. Not yet. But for the first time in weeks, her shoulders relaxed, and for the first time in a long time, she thought, maybe she hadn't reached the end. Maybe she had just found the beginning. The garden was quiet except for the sound of a small water fountain. Soft lights from glowing stones lit the path. Narai and Ben sat side by side, not speaking for a while. The silence wasn't heavy. It felt peaceful, like both of them finally found a place where they didn't need to pretend. Nar broke the silence first. "Do humans believe in honor?" she asked, not looking at him. Ben nodded. "Some do, some forget. But yeah, I think it matters." Narai sighed. "My people lived by it. Every word, every step, every promise. Now, Galaxy thinks we're broken. They say I'm nothing." Ben didn't rush to answer. He just sat with her, listening. Then he said, "They say stuff about humans too. We're too emotional, too wild. We never fit their rules." She looked at him, surprised. "Then why do you stay?" He gave a small smile. "Because I fix things. That's my job." She blinked. "Fixing machines is not the same as fixing people." "True," Ben said, "but both start with listening." Narai's gaze softened. No one else had spoken to her like this in weeks. Most conversations were full of politics, power, or pride. Ben spoke like a friend. Someone who wasn't trying to take anything or prove anything, just a person who saw her. They met again the next evening, and then the one after that. Sometimes they walked the quiet halls. Sometimes they just sat and watched stars. They talked about small things, earth music, Ilari poems, old stories from both their worlds. Narai told him about her mother who once ended a war with only her words. Ben told her about his brother who fixed engines for fun and once turned a toaster into a radio. They laughed, they remembered, they healed a little. But not everyone liked this new bond. Whispers began to spread through the station. "The Ilari princess talks to a human engineer? She's fallen so low? What could he give her?" Nothing. Some even joked that she was desperate. Others warned that she was planning something strange. In the shadows, leaders of other species watched closely. If Naraya made a bond with a human, even a simple one, it could change things. The Ilari had once led half the sector. If they returned, even through marriage, it might shift old power lines. Meanwhile, Ben noticed the change in how others looked. At him, co-workers avoided him. Orders came with fewer words. Few alien officers spoke with cold voices. "You're spending time with her?" one said. "Why?" Ben shrugged. "Because she's kind. And she listens." They scoffed. "Trouble," Ben replied. "Maybe the galaxy's just afraid of someone who doesn't give up." One afternoon, Ben found Narai in the library. Her eyes were red, though she tried to hide it. "What happened?" he asked, sitting beside her. "They sent a message from my home planet," she said. "The last group loyal to my family has stepped down. No more flags, no more royal halls. We've accepted the new rule. Ben didn't know what to say at first. I'm sorry. Narai gave a bitter smile. There's nothing left of my people now, not even a name.
That's
Not true, Ben said. You're still here. You're still standing. She looked at him, tears shining. What good is standing alone? He reached out slowly, gently, and placed his hand over hers. You're not alone, he said. Narai's voice trembled. They all said no. Every leader, every warrior, every world. They rejected me like I was nothing. Eyes searching. So I ask you now, Ben, ... Will you be my husband? His heart stopped for a second. Not from fear, but from the weight of her words. He knew she wasn't asking for power or saving. She wasn't asking for rescue. She was offering trust, a bond, something real. He looked into her golden eyes, saw her pain, her strength, and her quiet hope. He didn't answer with words yet. Instead, he stood up and offered his hand. She took it. They didn't make any grand promises. There were no rings or oaths. But in that moment, they both knew something had changed. Two beings from different worlds. Both pushed aside, had found something stronger than politics. They found each other. But outside that quiet garden, danger was building. A council leader from the Dravian species saw their bond as a threat. If the Alari gained support through humans, they might rise again, he warned. We must act. Plans began to form, and the peaceful days on the station would soon come to an end. After Narai asked Ben to be her husband, something shifted between them. They began spending more time together, not just in quiet corners, but walking side by side in the open halls. Their steps matched, their words gentle, and their smiles real. Some aliens looked in silence. Others whispered as they passed. Is it true? She really asked the human. Has she lost her mind? Narai heard it all, but kept walking. Ben stayed by her side, calm and steady. He didn't care what the others said. All he saw was Naraya kind, strong, and brave enough to love without fear. But in the council tower, trouble was rising. Councillor Jorvan of the Dravian Alliance sat at a long table with leaders from 4 other species. They spoke in low voices. Eyes sharp, she must not return to power, Jorvan said. If she joins with the human, Earth might support her. And if that happens, she becomes a symbol. We already rejected her, another alien said. Why fear her now? Because hope spreads fast, Jorvan replied. And the galaxy is unstable. A fallen princess and a human joining hands, it makes others question us. They decided to act, quietly, carefully. First, they sent rumors through the station. Messages spread saying Narai had a secret plan to take control of old Alari systems, using human tech. Others said she was using Ben as a tool, tricking him for political gain. Ben heard the lies. Some engineers stopped talking to him. Others gave him cold stares. One even shoved him in a hallway and said, "Traitor." He didn't respond. He just walked away. Nara. I saw the pain in his eyes. I'm sorry, she said. It was my fight. I didn't mean to pull you in. We're in this together now, Ben said, and I'm not leaving. The next move came quietly. Narai received an invitation to speak before a small committee. They claimed it was to discuss peace and healing. Ben didn't trust it. It feels wrong, he said. Nara, I thought for a moment. Then come with me. The room was high above the main tower, large and filled with cold light. Members waited. Narai stood before them, holding her head high. We ask only one thing, said Jorvan, smiling without warmth. Step back. Do not bring humans into Alari affairs. Your name is still respected by some. Don't ruin it. I asked one man, Narai replied. Not for war, not for power. I asked for kindness, for a future with a human. Another counselor said sharply. He is no prince. Ben stepped forward. I don't care about titles, but I care about her. Jorvan stood. Then you're both fools. The meeting ended without agreement. But the message was clear. Stop or face consequences. Outside, news spread fast. Some began to speak in favor of Narai and Ben. Smaller species, tired of being ignored, saw them as a sign of change. Young voices rose across the station saying, "Let them choose. Let love lead." But the council was not done. That night, a power failure hit the lower ring. A small explosion damaged the comm center. Engineers worked fast to stop the fire. No one was badly hurt, but it was a warning. Next time, a secret message read, "Will be worse." Ben held the note in his hands. "They're trying to scare us," he said. "Nar." I looked out the window. "It won't work. I've already lost everything. I won't lose myself again." The next morning, Ben went to the docking bay. On his tools, then opened a private channel to Earth. He spoke slowly. "This is Engineer Ben Riley. Request quiet observation. Nothing loud, nothing big, just eyes on Linnerith Prime." He didn't say more. He didn't need to. Earth listened back. At the garden, Narai met him with a soft smile. "You still believe in us?" "Every minute," Ben said. She reached for his hand. "Then let's keep walking." They didn't run. They didn't hide. They walked the station as a pair, daring the galaxy to watch, and the galaxy did watch. News channels showed pictures of them together. Voices from peaceful worlds called them brave. Songs were written, poems shared, but in the shadows, the danger grew stronger. JORVEN planned one final strike. "We can't stop them with fear," he told his allies. "We end it with force." He ordered a team to capture Naraya quietly, quickly, and without witnesses. But they didn't count on Ben. He had been watching, listening, preparing, and when they came, he was ready. The night was still on Linnerith Prime. Lights along the station walls blinked gently, and the soft hum of engines echoed in the background. But behind that calm, danger was waiting. In a dark corridor not far from the garden zone, 3 figures in black cloaks moved quickly and quietly. They were not part of the station crew, answered only to Counselor JORVEN. Their goal was simple: take Narai, remove her quietly, and make it look like she had chosen to leave. After that, no more speeches, no more walking beside the human, no more attention. But Ben had seen signs something was wrong. For days, he had noticed cameras turned away from certain places, security doors unlocked when they shouldn't be, and strange faces moving through staff-only areas. He didn't know everything, but he knew enough. He told Narai to stay in her room that night and locked the door from the outside. "I just need to check something," he said. "I'll be back. Soon. Be careful," she whispered. Ben didn't carry weapons. He wasn't a soldier. But he had tools, and he had plans. He placed small alert devices along the halls and motion sensors hidden behind vents and under pipes. When they moved, they'd trigger silent warnings on his wrist pad. At midnight, the alert came. Red light, 3 signals. Moving fast, Ben ran through the service paths and reached the hallway just as the cloaked figures reached Naraya's room. They used a code to unlock the door, thinking they were alone, but the door didn't open. Ben had overridden the lock. They turned sharply on. Saw him. Ben didn't wait. He hit a button, and lights burst on all around them, blinding bright. One of the cloaked figures shouted, covering their eyes. Another reached for a stun stick. Ben grabbed a nearby pipe and blocked the strike. He wasn't trained, but he moved. Fast, using the tools he'd carried for years. He hit the alarm switch. Loud beeps echoed through the halls. The intruders ran, not expecting a fight. Ben chased after them, but he didn't need to catch them. Others were already on the move. Down. In the lower command post, Officer Mina, young human, working quietly among alien staff, perceived the distress code. Her screen flashed with Ben's ID. She didn't ask questions. She tapped a code and sent a message to the Earth's observation ship orbiting 2 systems away. Within seconds, the reply came. Backup granted. Shadow team arriving in 1 hour. Back. In the station, Narai stood at the door. She heard the alarm. She heard Ben's voice on the other side. When he returned, slightly out of breath, she opened the door and grabbed his hands. "Are you hurt?" she asked. No, he said. They ran. She looked in his eyes. You stayed? Always, he said softly. Within the hour, a sleek human ship arrived. It didn't dock in public view. Came in through a quiet emergency port. From it stepped 5 humans in gray suits, unarmed, calm, and with badges that carried quiet power. They were observers, but everyone knew. When they arrived, someone had made a mistake. They spoke to the station leader. They asked for security footage. They requested recordings. And they made it clear they knew someone had sent a team after Narai counselor. Yorvin was called in. He came with his usual smile. I know nothing of this, he said. The lead human tilted her head. We'll find out, she replied. Jorven. Tried to hide his anger, but it showed in his eyes. He hadn't expected Earth to act so fast or so carefully. Meanwhile, news spread like fire. Princess Narai attacked. Human engineer saves her. Earth responds. Screens across the station showed the footage, not the fight, but Narai and Ben walking together days before. Standing tall, choosing peace. And the galaxy started talking. On smaller worlds, people cheered. In quiet homes, messages were sent. They stood when no one else did. Narai and Ben were moved to a safer part of the station. Humans stayed close, but not too close. They didn't want to start a war. They only wanted one thing: safety for Narai and the man she chose. One evening, as the stars glowed bright beyond the window, Narai sat beside Ben. They tried to take me, she said, but you stopped them. He gave a small smile. You've saved yourself more times than I ever could. Shook her head. You saved me when no one else saw me, not as a leader, not as a princess, just as me. Ben looked into her eyes, and I'll keep doing that, always. She leaned her head on his shoulder. They didn't speak for a while. The quiet was enough. In the next room, one of the human officers sent a report back to Earth Command. They are not a risk. They are a symbol, a true alliance. You suggest full support. The reply came fast. Approved. The tide was turning. Nar was no longer just a rejected royal. Ben was no longer just a repairman. Together they were, becoming something the galaxy had not seen before. And their story was only beginning. Days passed after the attack on Narai, and the galaxy didn't stop talking. What started as a small story on one station had become something bigger. News reports called it the silent bond. Others called it hope between stars. And Ben, once ignored by the galaxy, were now seen by millions. Some called them brave. Others called them foolish. But no one looked away. On Linerith Prime, changes were happening. Human observers remained close but quiet. Security around Narai's room was stronger. Ben still walked freely, but everyone now treated him differently. No one mocked him anymore. Some even nodded in respect. Narai stood near the garden fountain again, dressed in soft blue robes. Golden eyes looked calm. For the first time in many cycles, she felt safe. She felt seen. Ben joined her there, carrying a small plant from Earth. I thought you might like something from my world, he said. She smiled gently. What is it? Called a daisy, he said. Means hope. She touched the petals carefully. Then it belongs here. They sat together, watching station lights blink above them. Then Nari turned to Ben with serious eyes. They tried to silence us. Oh, but now the galaxy watches. I want to speak again. Not in secret. Not in fear. Ben nodded. You should. But this time, I'll be standing beside you. Narai reached for his hand and squeezed it. Then let's show them what unity looks like. The next day, a message was sent to the Galactic Council. Narai requested permission to speak before all factions in an open gathering. It was a bold move. Only the most respected leaders made such requests. Some tried to block it. But after human support and the rising public interest, the council agreed. The Hall of Voices was the largest chamber in Linerith Prime. Thousands of beings filled the seats: leaders, workers, travelers, soldiers, and citizens. Cameras floated above, broadcasting every moment across the galaxy. Nar stepped onto the center platform. Her presence was strong, but she wasn't alone. Ben walked beside her, quiet but steady. The room buzzed with whispers. Why is he here? She brought a human. Are they really? Then silence. Narai began to speak. I came here with hope. I asked for help, for alliance, for peace. But I was rejected. Not because I brought war, not because I asked for power, but because I had nothing left. No army, no riches, only my name. Her voice echoed through the chamber, so I stopped asking those who see worth in titles. I found someone who saw me, not my past, not my losses. Just me. She turned toward Ben. He didn't speak, but his eyes never left hers. I asked him something no one else dared hear, and he answered not with promises, but with action. When danger came, he stood between it and me. When lies rose, he stayed beside me. She paused, then said clearly, I asked him to be my husband, not for politics, not for power, but because I believe in unity. It's a kind built on choice, not fear, on care, not control. The hall was silent. Nar raised her head. We may be from different stars, but together, we are something new. The words echoed after a long pause. A voice from the back called, I support them. Another added, so do we. And then applause, soft at first, then louder. Some counselors remained cold, their faces tight. But others leaned forward, listening, wondering. Perhaps the galaxy was changing later that day. Earth sent a message through official channels. We recognize the union between Narai of the Alari and Ben Riley of Earth. We stand with them. Many smaller worlds followed. Not long after, a new ceremony was announced. Not a wedding like those of Earth, not a bonding like those of Alari, but something between, an exchange of light, gesture of peace. The ceremony was held in the garden chamber where they first spoke. It was quiet, simple but full of meaning. Humans wore soft gray, Alari wore flowing white. Narai stood with a glowing crystal in hand, and Ben with a small human-made ring. They exchanged them without words. Eyes watched from across the galaxy. And for a few moments, everyone saw something they didn't expect. Hope between two people, who were never supposed to matter. After the ceremony, Narai and Ben didn't make grand speeches. They didn't promise to rule or lead. They simply stood together, hand in hand, and let their bond speak louder than words. But not all were happy, in a dark room far away. Counselor Jorvan stared at the screen. They turned her weakness into strength, he said, and the people love it. His aide asked, what now? Jorvan's voice was cold. Now we wait, because symbols like this, they change everything. Back on Linarith Prime, Narai and Ben returned to the garden, where the daisy had already begun to bloom. What now? Ben asked her. She looked. At the stars? We walk forward, she said, and we keep holding hands. Weeks passed since the ceremony. What had started as a small connection between a fallen alien princess and a simple human engineer was now a symbol of something far greater. Across the galaxy, people talked about Narai and Ben not as just a couple but as proof that peace, trust, and unity were still possible. Small planets sent messages of support. Groups that were once ignored now spoke up with pride. Even some younger leaders in the Galactic Council began to question old traditions. They said, if the daughter of Alari and a human can stand side by side, maybe it's time we all change. On Linarith Prime, things were quieter now. The station guards had returned to normal patrols. The reporters had mostly gone. And Ben remained at the center of something much bigger than they had planned. They didn't seek fame. They didn't lead armies. They only lived together in truth, and that was enough to shake the stars. One day, as Narai walked through the learning halls, a group of young alien students stopped her. One of them, a shy girl with silver skin, stepped forward and said, "Thank you, Princess." Because of you, my parents say, I can choose my own path. Narai smiled gently and touched the girl's shoulder. You were always free. Now you only need to remember it. Ben spent his days working again, but not just as a repairman. Now, he was asked to help design peaceful stations, places where different species could live and work together without fear. His name had weight now, but he stayed the same. He still carried his old tool pouch, still wore the same jacket, still smiled the same quiet way. One evening, as the station lights dimmed, Ben and Narai sat on the same bench, where their story began. Everything is changing, Ben said. Watching the stars nodded. Yes, and not just for us. He turned to her. Do you ever miss what you had before? The palace? The power? She thought for a moment. Sometimes, but only for what it meant to my people, not for myself. And now, I think we've built something stronger than any throne. He smiled. We did it without force, without fear, just ... together. She leaned closer. Do you think they'll accept it? The rest of the galaxy? Some already have, Ben said. The others will follow. Maybe not today, but they will. Far away in hidden chambers, the last voices of resistance began to fade. Counselor Yorvin had lost much of his support. His plans had failed. People no longer listened to his warnings. They saw peace now, not danger. They saw a bond that couldn't be broken. One of his own allies turned against him and said, You tried to stop love. Now the galaxy loves them more than it fears you. Yorvin left the council silently. No one cheered, no one cried. The era of cold politics and fear was ending. On the station, a new symbol was placed on the central tower circle of stars, half in the style of Alari, half in the design of Earth. It stood for unity, choice, and shared strength. Under that symbol, new agreements were made. Trade between peaceful species, cultural exchanges, shared learning centers. And at the heart of it all, Narai and Ben stood as quiet witnesses to what they helped create. They didn't lead with orders. They led by example. On the first day of the new solar cycle, a celebration was held in the main hall. Not for a victory, not for war, but for the simple act of choosing one another. Many spoke, many sang. But when Narai and Ben stepped forward, the room went quiet. Nara raised her voice gently. We are not rulers. We are not heroes. We're simply two people who found something worth holding on to. We did not fight with weapons. We fought with trust. Ben added, This isn't just our story. It belongs to everyone who ever felt unseen, who ever felt small. We're proof that even quiet voices can change the galaxy. Applause followed. Not the kind that shakes walls, but the kind that warms hearts. After the celebration, Narai and Ben returned to their room. She removed her crown and placed it in a small box. She turned to him and said, I don't need this anymore. My crown now? He smiled. They sat near the window, fingers intertwined, watching the stars in silence. Outside, fleets flew peacefully between systems. Planets once divided now spoke openly. Old enemies reached out to talk. And somewhere on a small moon, a child looked. At a screen showing Narai and Ben holding hands, she asked her mother, Can I be like them? The mother nodded. You already are. And so, the galaxy moved forward. Not with explosions, not with force, but with steps taken in love, in courage, and in quiet hope, all because one alien girl, rejected by all, found the strength to ask a simple question, and one human boy, ignored by many, had the heart to answer her with a truth that changed everything.